Hi there all. So this is the second tutorial, part 2, and we're gonna talk about the PPG sequencer. And before we start, it's really important to know that for the sequencer you're gonna be using this display, this part, and not necessarily the right part, but more for the shortcuts and changing the display, what it shows. So yeah. Um, Okay, it's actually the most complicated part of the PPG Wave, and there's no point in starting to work right away with the waveterm, explaining to you how to use the waveterm in combination with the wave, if you didn't master the sequencer. Even the manual of the PPG Wave tells you that before you start working with the waveterm event generator, you have to familiarize yourself with the sequencer. So it's the most complicated part, but for me, it's really child's play. It's really easy. It looks intimidating, but I will explain you every step and everything, so you will be a master in the sequencer of the wave. Okay, let's start. I mean, it's quite basic. I mean, what we have here, first of all, this is the sequencer page. So when you boot your PPG, you will most likely see this page on the display. And so what we have here, here are the different, as you can see, different voices of your wave or channels. And you already know, I guess, that you can like put here one sound, a bass. Then we have here, let's say, what is that? A pluck sound. We have here a bell sound, I think. Yeah, bell. So on, so on. So you can put individual sounds for each like channel. It's a multi-timbral synthesizer, so you can change between sounds. So you have here 1 to 8 different sounds that you can switch with the keypad. So what does that mean? So when we go to sequence, there's also a display here. Keypad on the right side. You press sequence, and it takes you to the sequencer page. So first of all, program. I don't use program. I will get back to that later. That's just, let's say if you, it's like a shortcut so that you don't have to go back to program on this page. And when you put your cursor here, let's say on the first channel of the 8, when you put your cursor here, you go back on the sequence and you go back on the program. Here, you see the cursor is here. And you, let's say, put a 1. So what happens? The PPG changes the first channel to 1. Okay? So just forget it. I mean, I don't know how actually you can use it to be that it can be helpful or like in a good combination, but just ignore the program. Okay, we're gonna ignore that. So before you start, when you get to this page on the display, on the sequencer page, there are extremely important things you have to do before you even start recording. So before you do anything, listen carefully. You can choose the sequence number here, where sequence means sequence, you know. So you can choose sequence number. So we're not working with the waveterm yet. I'm gonna make that in the next video. So let's just work with the wave. So if you want to create a sequence only on the wave and save it internally inside the wave, you have to work with sequence 0, 1, and so on till 90, I believe. And after 90, I guess it's the arpeggiator and everything. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you cannot create a sequence on as a sequence 0, 0. Because 0, 0 is used for transmitting with the waveterm. That means if we create a sequence on number 0, 0, it won't save it on the wave. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's actually just used to communicate with the waveterm. And when you save something, when you save a sequence on the waveterm, it automatically detects, okay, you've did a sequence on sequence 0, 0, and you can save it. We're gonna get back to that later. That sounds maybe too complicated for you, but it's really simple, really. So we're gonna work with sequence 0, 1. Okay. And that's like basics, okay? And now, when you choose your sequence, you go right to loops. What are loops? When I first started working with the sequencer on the Wave, it was really confusing. I thought these were like bars and everything, but loops are just literally clicks, okay? So if we put 8 and press play, you're gonna hear 8 clicks, like click, 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 8 times. If we put 16, you're gonna hear a click 16 times. If you put 4, I guess you can have it like a 1 bar and do that like that. But I have it as clicks. So let's put the number 8 inside, make it really simple. And then after the loops, we go to record mode. RECM means. So like I said, the next thing is TMC. That means time correction. So this is how hard the quantization is gonna be. So if you put 1, you're just gonna be able to put a note only on the first clicks. So click, click, click. So you can't put a note in between the clicks if you put 1. That's like the strongest quantization. You have no swing or shuffle option available if you have 1. What I do is put a 2 for drums, for example. So you can put a note in between the click. A 3 is a shuffle, so you can have it shuffled, like put a 3/4 of a note in between the click. And 4/4 is like the standard. You can put 4 notes in between a click. It's gonna be helpful to know and understand when we work with the event generator if you want to edit it like extremely deep and everything. I rarely use it. If you want to record basic, simple, fast stuff, either put a 2 for drums, for slow basses, or 4 fast sequences. And if you want to go extreme, put in a 5 or 6. In the manual, it's written exactly what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 means, I believe. And everything is written what note that is, 1/4, 3/4, or whatever. So what I do when I record drums, I put in a 2. It's really tight, and you can put a note in between the click, or I put in a 4 to make fast sequences like basses and plugs. So we're gonna put in a 2 for demonstrational purpose. So I'm not gonna play anything fast. We have the sound here, the bass. SP means speed, okay? So if you put in 35, it doesn't mean you're playing, you're getting 35 beats per minute. So that's not 35 BPM. I don't know what that means, how much 35 is. You would have to use a BPM measurement unit or something, or maybe in the manual it's written how much what is. But I use 35. That's like the best speed for recording something. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. You can have control, and it's great. So let's get back again. What we did first, we went to sequence. We pressed sequence, the far right knob. We were greeted with the program. Ignore that. Don't use it. It's confusing. You can really make a mess with the program after changing sounds. So ignore that. Ignore program. Whatever is written. If it's written 70 or 1 or 2, just ignore it. Then we go to sequence. Like I said, you cannot use sequence 0, 0 because it's reserved for the waveform. So either you work with 0, 1 till 99 or 80 or whatever. And yep, and the loops, like I said, loops are the clicks. Loops are the clicks of the metronome, how many clicks are gonna be in the sequence. So we've put in an 8. Record mode is to initialize what you've chosen on the sequence on the loop. So we put in a 4 and always use 4. Like I said, you can experiment with other stuff, but 4 is the safe side. So we've put in a 4. After that, it initialized these 3 things, and we've put in the time correction, so 2 for quantization. Then speed is 35. That's it, you're ready, okay? So we've put in the most important stuff. We gave it the most important information to start working with the sequencer. So we're gonna go here on this section. So this might look really confusing, but what you actually see here, this is the run. So if you put in a 1, the sequence starts. It's gonna start with a 4-bar click, and then it starts with the 8 clicks that we've inserted. Oh, let me just adjust the camera. I'm sorry if it's a little bit blurry. So what we have here, the channels, this is not really, I mean, it's used for two things. It's used for the tracks. So we have track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, track 5, track 6, 7, and 8. So if you see 1 0.0, 2 0.3, 3 0.3, whatever, etc., etc., this is just like track 1 has this command, a 0. Track 2 has a 3 command. Track 3 has also a 3 command. 4 has this command, 3, and etc., etc. And what the commands mean are written here. So 1, the track 1 has a 0. That means you gave this command to 1. 0 means normal, okay? 0 means normal. 2 has a 3, so 3 is off, okay? 3 is also off, 4 is also off, 5 is also off, 6 is also off, 7, 2, and 8. So these tracks are off. That means they are not used by the sequencer. How I can explain it better, let's say I've put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0 on these tracks, 7 tracks, and the 8th has a 3. That means 3 is not used by the sequencer, it's off. And the rest has a 0. That means they're used by the sequencer, normal. That means they're normally used by the sequencer. So you will realize when you play, you can only play one note. It's mono now. Because I told him the 7 tracks are used for the sequencer. So that means the sequencer took 7 voices, and I've disabled the sequencer on the 8th track. That means it gave me 1 voice. So if I put 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, I can play polyphonically. That means I've told him ignore all the 8 voices of the sequencer, ignore it. That's actually useful when you have a sequence. Let's say you recorded something on track 1, you recorded something on track 2, you recorded something on track 3, you recorded something on track 4, and every time you record on one track, it automatically puts it to 0. That means it's normal, it's being used by the sequencer. There's something on there, okay? So if you recorded on 4 tracks and have 5, 6, 7, 8, the tracks named 5, 6, 7, 8 left, and you put in a 3 on those, you can play, like put the sequencer on start and play it, and you can play over the sequencer. That means, but only with 4 voices over the sequencer. Let me demonstrate everything for you really simple. So we've initialized everything, and usually when you start, when you start, there's always a 0 here. So let's record something on track 1, okay? We've put the cursor on track 1, and we tell him what we want to do. So we want to record. So let's give him the command record. What command is record? It's number 1. So we put in a 1 on track 1. Great. So you ask, but the problem is, if you record now, you choose one track. Even though you can play polyphonically, because the rest is being used, not being used by the sequencer, because there's a 3. You want to record polyphonically and not mono. So what you have to do is arm 2 more tracks to play 3 notes. So you can play a chord of 3 notes. So if I put a 1 on 2 and 1 on 3, that means we told the sequencer, please use this voice, this channel, and this channel for this sound. So as you can see, I can play a chord now. But you ask yourself, wait, how do I change sounds? How do I tell him on what track which sound to play? So before we record, you go here, you press program on the right, on the keypad, on the right keypad, there's this up left, far up left knob called program, and it brings you back to the menu. Don't worry, nothing has been deleted on the sequence page, everything is still there. So, like I said at the beginning, these are your 8 sounds for each channel. So let's say we have this sound, and this sound, and let's say we want to record bass first. So you go in program on this page, you put the cursor on the sound you want to use for the first track or any other track. So I've chosen one, the bass. We go back on sequence, and it doesn't mean like you chosen one on program and you have to record on track 1. No, you can use the first sound on program, like this one. This one I've chosen. It's important that the cursor is under the first sound. So if I've chosen the first one, I can go back on sequence and record on any track. So I can record on the 5th track if I want. So let's start. I've chosen the bass. I've put a 1. 1 means record on the first track, and I'm gonna press run. So it stopped. We had 4 clicks as the intro and 8 clicks for recording. So if I press 1, great. You can hear the first note. I didn't hit it really well on the click. It's really hard somehow to hit it on the first click. But let's say you're disappointed with, you're not really happy with the outcome of this sequence. So you want to delete it. So don't worry, you're not going to delete everything on every track. So you're not happy with that. So what command do we have to give the first track? You want to only delete something on the first track. So you go up here, it tells you, okay, 2 is edit. So you want to edit it in a way. So we put on track 1 a number 2. That means we are telling him, we're giving him the command, hey, I want to edit something on the first track. So we go back on this, on run, and we're gonna press play, and instead of recording something, we're gonna delete it while it's playing. It's like on a drum machine, on a Lindrum or an DMX. While it's playing, you can like hold the button, erase, and press the on the same step, it plays a snare or a kick, and you can delete it. So it works the same. So you put a number 2 on any track you want to delete. So we're going to use track 1. You put in a 2. You go back on run and press 1. So to initialize the sequencer. And you're going to hear a countdown of 4 like the recording part. But instead of playing, you're going to delete. So how do you delete? So there's this button on the far right, far right, called run/stop on this keypad, the right side. Run/stop, far right down. And it's used to erase stuff. You can either manually tap the button on a certain note you've played or didn't play right, or you can hold it the whole time and delete everything. So when I press 1, I'm gonna start a process, and I'm gonna hold the whole time to delete the whole track, okay? So I'm gonna press 1, hold, bam, okay? It tells me it edited it out, so it's a 0 again. If I press play, nothing appears. Nothing appears. That means it's great. It's been deleted. So it's been deleted. It worked. It put in a 0. So you know what I mean. But let's say you've completely somehow got a mess. You can't delete it somehow, or something corrupted in the software or whatever. You want to delete everything and start over clean, okay? So what you're gonna do is go on record mode on this one, the one that I told you not to touch or put in anything when you initialize it. You put in an 8, and you will see question marks. So you put in an 8 again, and as you can see, it cleaned everything up. So all the tracks are like open, you can play, nothing is used for the sequencer. So let's initialize the sequencer again. Ignore the program, like I told you, go in sequence, put in a 0, 1. We're gonna use the first sequence, put in loops. Let's do 8 loops. Put in record mode 4 to initialize everything here. Then go on time correction. We're gonna put a 2. Speed, we're gonna use 35. We're gonna use the first track. So let's run it. So let's hear it. Great. Okay. Let's go on the next track. We use the first track. It's a 0. That means it's normal. It's used. Something is on there. Let's go on the next track. We're going to press program on the right keypad. Program. We're going to choose our next sound. So this is the bass. Let's use this one. Go back on sequence. Go back on the track. Track 2. But I want to record that one polyphonically, so 3 voice. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell him, hey, use for that sound 3 tracks. 3 tracks, excuse me. We're gonna use 3 tracks. So you put in a 1 on track 2, a 1 on track 3, and a 1 on track 4. That means we are using 1, 2, 3 tracks for 3 notes. Okay, we're gonna go back on run and put in a 1, and we're gonna hear the bass and a countdown. So let's hear it. As you can hear, I've played now 3 notes. So we've used 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks, also 4 voices. So 4 voices are gone. We cannot use them again. So we're gonna choose the next sound. Let's use this bell sound. Go back on sequence. And what you're also going to realize, if I just, this is a sound that has a sustain, a release. So as you can hear, this sound has a release. That means if we only choose 1 track for that sound, it's going to bleed inside the other. So it's going to already like go into the second voice. So it's not gonna have a release while we record it on 1 voice. So if you want a longer sound, you either have to choose multiple voices or just have it like snappy, or remove the release of that sound. So I'm gonna use a lot more voices to have it sustain and release. So I'm gonna put a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here. So that allows me to play a sound that has more release. I'm gonna run it. Let's hear it. Great, it sounds amazing. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks recorded. They all have a 0. That means they're used, something is on there. And we have 1 voice and 1 track left. So let's go back on program. Let's find a sound that suits us. Let's use this one. So we're gonna go back on the last track. Where is my cursor? So let's do this. Let's go here on the last track, put in a 1. 1 means record. Go here on run. Let's record. Let's hear it. Great. Okay, let's say we are not satisfied. One more thing. If you record on 8 tracks and you have everywhere a 0, as you can see, I'm playing the keyboard, but no sound comes out. Like I said at the beginning, you've used all the voices. And all the voices, also called channels or tracks, have a 0. That means they're used by the sequencer. That means normal, okay? Now, let's say you wanna ignore or like skip the sequencer, but not delete it, just ignore it, you have to put in a 3, and 3 means off. You're putting off on one track. That means we have one voice back. But as you can hear, I can only play one out. If I put 3 everywhere, it means I've skipped all the voices of the sequencer. It's still here saved. You're not deleting anything, you're just skipping it. I can play multi-timbral. So we're gonna go back and put in a 0 everywhere. Now if you press play, it's playing it. Great. Okay. So let's say you wanna play with the sequencer, but you have no voices left. So what you're gonna do is you have to like kill some sounds, like to use it to play live. So, or better to say, kill some tracks or just off them. So that means you have to put in a 3. Let's say you want to play monophonic, so you're gonna put 3 on just one track. But that also means if we play it, as you can see, I can play over it. So if I put 3 on these 3 tracks, if I put 3, I can play polyphonically over it. Great. So I'm gonna put in a 0 everywhere. So like we've done the tracks, the sequence is finished. So if now you wanna loop it and have it looped, and yeah. So what you're gonna do is go back on loops here. You're gonna go up with the cursor and put in a 99, a 99. That's the command for loop. So we're gonna go back on play, press 1. Now it's looped. So let's say you want to change the speed manually and not here. So what you're gonna do is go on the right panel again, right? And you will see a knob called panel, okay? That's the far down right, the second from the far down right. It's called panel. It's right beside the run and stop button. You press panel, and on this side, on the left side, the LED LED will glow red, and it will indicate that panel and second panel is activated of the PPG. So if we go here, you will see the panel LED is activated, and this is the rate sequence knob. Rate, you know what it means, the rate, the speed. So if we press play and move this knob, one more thing, you cannot adjust the speed manually. I don't know if you can, to be honest, but the knob does not like save if you put like the knob on a certain position, like 70%, and it's not like saving the speed of that sequence. No, you either have to put it here, the new speed, or on the waveform. So I'm not sure on that, but I know how to manually adjust the speed on the waveform. I'm gonna show you that later. So as you can see, okay, we've created one sequence. On sequence 0, you can use it live or whatever. So let's say sequence 1 is for the first song or the second song you play live. So you want to play next sequence for next song live. So this is saved. Don't worry if you change sequence. So if I put in sequence 2 and do the same thing, let's put in 8 for the loops, record mode 4, initialize it, time correction 2, speed 35, and let me change the sound on program. I'm gonna use this one. Let's use this one. Go back on sequence. We're on sequence 2. We're gonna choose the first track, first 3 tracks to play polyphonically. So I've put 1, 1, 1 on the 3 tracks. Let's go on run. We've put in a 1. Nothing musical here, but just a demonstration. We put in 1, start. I didn't play it really well, but whatever, you get the point. So let's say you want to change to the old one, the first one we had. So what you're gonna do, you go just on sequence, you put in a 1, we go back on sequence 1, we play it. Great. You want to change to the second sequence, you put in a 2. This is your second sequence, so on, and you can like stack 50, 60 sequences. Depends how long your loop is, you can make them longer or whatever. You cannot chain or create a whole song only on the wave. You cannot do that. You have to use the waveform, and I'm gonna show it in the next video. It's really easy, really simple, and the only difference is you cannot create, if you want to chain songs and make a whole song, you cannot create sequences on from 1 to no, you cannot create a sequence on 1 to 90. You have to create them on 0, 0. Like I said at the beginning, if you start with 0, 0 and make a song on sequence 0, 0, we go on the wave term, we tell him, hey, save a sequence on the wave, we send him a command, it's gonna save it. And then later you're gonna name the sequence in the waveform. But you have to create sequences on sequence 0, 0. So let's go back here on 1 and press the play. Oops, that's the 11. We have it here. And like I said, the speed can be changed on the knob, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be saved. So saving is done on the waveform. So that's actually really basic, and let's say we want to delete everything. We've put in an 8, record mode 8, press 2 times the 8, not really too fast, but like 8, and then again an 8, and everything has been brought back to the beginning. Really easy. So let me show you how quick you can actually work with the sequencer. So we go back in program, we choose a sound, we choose this sound, we go back on sequence, we've put in, let's say, sequence 1, let's put in 16 loops, record mode 4, time correction 2, speed 35. We use the first channel for bass. Let's record. So let's hear it. It also records how long the gate. That means how long you hold a note. So I didn't really hit it correctly, so that's why somehow the start sounds different. It has a pluck effect. I didn't hit it on the right click, but whatever, it works. So we choose the next sound. Let's use this one. We go back on sequence. We choose 2 tracks for 2 voice, so I can play it a little bit longer, that sound. So I'll go back, run it. So let's play it. Great, you can also stop it if you put in a 0. Let's go next. This sound, let's go. I want it also polyphonically 3 voices, so I put in a 1 on 3, 1 on 4, 1 on 5. Let's go, record. Let's hear it. Great, so let's choose another sound. So I'm gonna take this lead, but what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna record it, I'm just gonna play over it. So like you see, I have 3 voices left. So that's gonna be used, let's say I play live and I wanna be able to play over the sequence, so I'm gonna just press play. Like a 3 doesn't mean I'm recording, it's just like off. It's not being used by the sequencer. So if I loop the sequence by putting 99, like I told you, 99, go back and play, I have 3 voices left. And that's it. You've mastered the sequencer. That's actually it. It's really simple. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use the event generator, which is really fun, and use samples instead of the stock sounds. It's really amazing, and you're going to be shocked how good it sounds with the samples. So the next video, I'm going to show you how to sample, how to save them on disk, how to use it with the sequencer instead of the stock sounds of the PPG. We're going to make like a big song with massive drums and everything. So it's going to sound amazing. One more thing. When you have saved sequences, like on sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and you play live, the sequencer does not save. If you change here, if you put in sequence 2, it does not change the sounds here. So when you play live, you have to make like a bank, BK, you see? A bank. So let's say you play sequence 2, we put in a 2, you go back on program and you load your bank. It's like a preset of the 8 sounds. So if you put in a bank, whatever, 3, it's gonna load the sounds for sequence 3. Or otherwise you have to put in manually on each track what you recorded, if you write it down on paper, what number the patch is. So these are the patches, like as you see. So if you put in bank 7, it's gonna load the 7. Like for example, CP is the compound. If I put in 0, 1, as you can see, it goes through all the sounds, and it put in something new. Okay, so you can like record sequence 1 on compound number 1 and edit these sounds and save it. So let's say you want to load sequence 3, goes sequence 3, you go program and you put in compound number 3. It loads you like the whole patches, all the patches, so you don't have to put it manually. You see, these are just like random presets I have on compound. So you can make your own compound or bank, whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't use that. I really don't use it. I use samples. I make big songs with samples and drums and basses. So that's really simple. If you have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, I hope I've explained it as much as possible. And the manual is really, really hard to understand. And yeah, please write me down on the comments what you think. Where should I, maybe I can make a separate video on the one subject and do it again for you guys. But let me know, and yeah, that's about it. The next video is the best video. That's about sampling and making a big song and chain and like make a master on the waveterm. So it's gonna be fun to use the waveterm with the sequencer. It's really an amazing machine. And I'm gonna show you how you can save the samples on your waveterm and make a great song and chain everything. So yeah, that's about it. And write me in the comments if you need any questions. If you have any questions, sorry. Bye bye.